This is the Inspection Pro Joe podcast, where we break down everything you need to know to grow a successful home inspection company. Join hosts Joey and Jake as they share insider knowledge and chat with the industry's best on how to take your business to the next level.
This program is brought to you by Pair Payments. Welcome back to Inspection Pro Joe, episode 28. Today, Joey and I have with us Brian and Kristen Lunsford. They're another couple that we met at IEB, and we're incredibly excited to have them on because they're a husband and wife entrepreneurial team that has been growing rapidly and doing some really interesting things in the industry, and they have some really interesting stories. So we're excited to have you guys on today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you guys. They have sold one of the biggest businesses that I think we've had on the podcast. So I'm just so excited about the value that they're going to bring to everybody that's listening today. So listen closely. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great nuggets in here for those looking to grow. Thank you, guys.
Awesome, man. We're looking forward to it, Jake and Joey. Definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming on. I cannot stress this enough. We have so many people who come on this podcast and they say they did not expect to be a home inspector. They didn't go out looking for it. They were in another career and stumbled upon home inspections. And it sounds like that was what happened to you guys. So I'm curious, just to start off, how did you get into the home inspection industry?
Yeah. So years ago, my dad started a pest control company in Georgia. We're here in Florida. And he grew it to a few employees, 6 or 7 employees, and then ultimately kind of downsized. He moved from Georgia to Florida, and it kind of did its thing and kind of, just was stagnant. And my brother and I, I had a corporate job. I was a producer at the Fox affiliate in Atlanta. And we kind of both just said, you know what we're doing now, we didn't have wives or kids yet. And we figured, if there's ever going to be a time, this is the fork in the road time to do something a little different. Now's the time. So this was 2005, and he and I had graduated a few years earlier from the University of Georgia, political science majors. And so we moved to the Virgin Islands. We moved down to St. John, small little island down there in the USVI. And we worked in a little diner 4 days a week, had a great time, went to happy hour almost every day, went to the beach, read books, just had a great time. And our dad, we knew he had some value in the company, but, if you picture Jimmy Buffett, that's kind of our dad. He's very good with relationships, but he didn't necessarily enjoy the business behind the scenes part of it. And my brother and I figured, we might be okay at that. And so we reached out to him, and we ultimately purchased the small business. It was very small at the time. And we purchased that from him. And by that point, there might've been, I think, 1 employee. And they didn't have a website back then. The customer care wasn't really top notch. And so my brother and I came in immediately, just took that Chick-fil-A approach and said, let's answer the phones, let's return phone calls, let's get out to people's houses when they need us on the pest control side. And basically, let's bring a website in, let's do some just common sense, things that we need to do to get this business moving forward. And then we got, behind the computer, and it really just started taking off. We got, the old regime out and the new regime in. And from there, the pest control started growing. And then there was some opportunity to add home inspections. Our dad had kind of played around with it years earlier. And so we brought that back. And so he was our first inspector. We got the home inspection piece going in Atlanta, and then ultimately expanded down here to Florida with both the pest control and the home inspection division.
Wow. That's awesome. And so what was the growth like when you guys took it over? I mean, you just started doing like the little things right, customer service. I know you built it up to 100 people, but what was that growth like from 2005 onward? Like, what was some of the things that you had to learn along the way?
Yeah, and we made a ton of mistakes, and there's so many things that we don't have enough time today to go into our failings and what we did wrong. But some of the things we did right, one of the things we took very seriously were when someone was kind enough to review us. If you remember back then, if you guys are old enough, like that's really when online reviews are really starting to come out. And so we took those, we treated those like gold, and 99% of them were A's. And the 1% that comes in that's below an A, we'd respond to every review. And then certainly if a quote negative review came in, it'd be all hands on deck. We would jump on that. We would respond with class. Even if we knew really we didn't do anything wrong, our team didn't do anything wrong in that case, we still responded with class, got back to that person, and then tried to learn from it. Like, what, even if we weren't wrong, what did they think we did wrong? Like, how can we, from their perspective, how can we get better? And so that was one thing. And then also that was really when Angie's List and Yelp, and there were some other platforms that were really big on, like Groupon, these deals. And so we jumped in on the loss leader approach, particularly on the pest control side. So for example, we would, throw a $39 one-time mosquito offer out there, and then we would go out there, blow them away with our service, and then they would sign up for an entire year of recurring mosquito service and pest control service and termite service. And then what happened was that played right into the home inspection company, because that pest control customer, anytime if it were time for them to move or whatever, they knew to come to us. It was all the same name. And then on the flip side, on the home inspection side, when we were, our home inspectors would go out and just do a fantastic job on an inspection. That person would then remember, oh yeah, they do pest control as well. We'd send them an email or something in the mail, and they would then turn around and use us on the pest control side. They were impressed enough on the home inspection side. So, hey, these guys must be good over on that division too. And they would be kind enough to pick us up and use us over there as well. So it just kept going and growing like that. And I think the number was ultimately around 4,000% growth. We were, hitting the Inc. 5,000 list and a bunch of local lists. We were just ecstatic. And like I said, so many stumbles and so many things though that we didn't do well, that I think now here in 2021, we're able to kind of reflect back and say, you know what, let's take some of this good stuff we did well, but let's also build on some of the other stuff that we didn't do so well. And that's what we've been focused on now.
That's awesome. So just a key to customer service. How did you transcend that to your employees so they would deliver the same quality that you were preaching about, or was it just they saw you do it and so they knew, or was that like a core value for you guys? Or?
It was. Yep. Well said. It was a core value. And back then in Georgia, we had our office, we kept growing. So we would get into bigger and bigger offices. So we were all together. We would have those in-person meetings back then. And we just really stressed, you don't necessarily have to be the best pest control technician or the best home inspector, but you do have to be the best in customer care. We do need to take that Chick-fil-A approach. And it's it doesn't necessarily mean the customer is always right, but we're going to give them the attention and understand why they think maybe something needs to be better. And we're going to listen to them. We're going to give them that customer care. That was our biggest thing.
I love what you just said there, because I think a lot of home inspectors, they get in the industry and they think they have to do a great home inspection. Mm-hmm. And they almost put so much stress on the home inspection side of it that they neglect the relationship with the realtor and the client. I'm the same way. I'd rather hire somebody that's happy and good at customer service and does a good home inspection, because if you do something that's a good home inspection instead of a great one, but you pay enough attention to customer service, people are going to be less likely to complain about you.
It's harder to teach good customer service than it is to teach them to do a good home inspection report. So we'll take the person that's personable and good customer service all day, and then train them to be a better home inspector.
I love 100%. That. That's awesome.
Yeah. So as we hit, as we started growing, and we touched on some of this in the pre-show, but we ultimately sold the pest control company in Atlanta in 2019. And you just heard Kristen, my wife, her voice. My brother and I, we had a great thing for, a decade and a half. And so when we sold to ServiceMaster, we only sold the pest control in Atlanta. So my brother kept the home inspection company in Atlanta. And then Kristen and I took the home inspection company in Florida, as well as the pest control company in Florida, because we did not sell the pest control piece in Florida. So as of 2020, Kristen, I'd been recruiting her for years. And as of 2020, we became the 100% sole owners down here in Florida. And I recruited her, and she's joined and just been hitting it out of the park. She's been doing fantastic.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Kristen, what was it like coming into the business with Brian?
At first, I had been a teacher for years.
Okay.
So the education world is very different than the business world. So, I was ready. I was like, okay, so where's my lesson plan? Where's my instructions? And he was like, yeah, we don't have that. So it's very different, but he was like, you're really smart. I'm sure you can figure it out. And cause he was super busy. And so, thanks to IEB was what, kind of gave me, the playbook. So I just kind of went with what I knew, and I knew I could build relationships. So that's what we focused on, was me building relationships with agents and reaching out to them and getting to know them.
That's awesome.
We have a lot of people that come on and say that their past careers translated really well to specific parts of the home inspection industry. So Kristen, did that, background in education help you with the foundation for the systems and procedures? And is that something that you were really able to excel at because of that background?
Absolutely. Just because being in teaching, you're doing so many different things as a teacher, so many things. So I think it really trained me to be able to do this job, and just being organized as a teacher. You really have to be organized in business. And then the processes just kind of flow naturally. And then obviously building relationships, that's what you're doing with students every single day and their parents. So that was a natural fit for meeting with the agents to get to know them.
That's
awesome.
Very interesting. And Brian, being a former TV producer, was there anything that translated there into, the customer experience and maybe some production value of your operation?
It's a great question. I've actually never thought about that. I was just so happy not to be in the newsroom at 11 o'clock at night, on Christmas Day. I started to realize too, that when I was in that newsroom after the news, or when news breaks at 2 a.m. or whatever, that there were so many people at the time. I was in my 20s, and there were so many 40 somethings and above up there just miserable with life and divorced. And I just knew that I hadn't met Kristen. I didn't have children yet. I just knew eventually that's going to happen. And this is probably not the best lifestyle. And I respect all the people in the media and what they do. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great perks to it. It put me in the locker room in the Atlanta Braves, talking to Chipper Jones and World Series and Super Bowls and just all this cool stuff that, as a kid, I always wanted to do. So I will always be grateful for that opportunity. But the long-term lifestyle of being a producer in a major market was just not for me. How does it translate? Yeah, I'm sure there's stuff on the business side, just how to interact with people. I mean, how to hit deadlines. I mean, when you're a 19, 20-year-old running around, lots of people are watching what you're doing. And so the anchor is reading what you wrote. The people are watching a video you edited, and you're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions. You've got to be detailed. So probably to a fault with our team now, I kind of just stay away from any creative stuff. I'm actually, let me not look at that. I think it's good for all that. But yeah, Kristen, she's being very modest. I mean, she had got, she stayed home with our 2 children, got her doctorate degree. She could have done anything she wanted and gone in any direction she wanted. She was being a consultant at a private school here in Ponte Vedra Beach and doing a fantastic job. She really could just do anything. And I just said, look, the entrepreneurial game is a lot of fun. I think you'll do really well in it. You don't have to do it, but it would really help me if you did. If nothing else, I'll probably be bouncing a lot of stuff off you at dinner time or when the kids go to bed. And she was kind enough to jump in, and she kind of said, well, what about this? And I said, look, there's no playbook. This is the Wild West. This is business. We got to figure stuff out every day. And she grabbed on and just said, all right, let's do it. And she jumped in. It's been a great run so far with her.
That's so cool. So what's the structure of your company now? I know you guys aren't in the day-to-day, but I guess what's the structure now, and how did you guys get yourself out of the day-to-day, and what does your kind of day-to-day look like?
Sure. Yeah, and Kristen can talk about how she does a really good job with her calendar, and it's very strategic and smart. I'll let her touch on that. But for us, it was really, you hear this all the time, and it's so true. It's finding the who's. We really were fortunate, and we started to realize some of our big hires here recently in the last year and a half have actually come to us. So it's been inside the network, as you call it. It's really been less of us having to find people and them find us. And we had always said, if that starts happening, that's a good sign. And so people had reached out to us, and we just really got some high-level leaders in place, and that enabled us to really step out for the most part in the day-to-day. I mean, we'll touch base with a long Zoom meeting each week, but for the day-to-day, we're not in. And on the pest control or the home inspection side, and then in January, we became publishers of Real Producers Jacksonville. And so really right now, our energy and efforts are really focused on that. But Kristen, she does a great job. I'll let her touch on how she kind of plans her day out. It's really.
Well, I'm just going with the who. Once we found the who, we're like, wow, they do a better job than us. And then just letting them do their job, letting them be the leaders, and us just kind of stepping out of their way. And because really they do a better job than us. So letting them do their job. But yeah, we're very scheduled with everything we have going on, and we have 2 small children. I do a lot of time blocking. I plan my day in 30-minute increments. And I can tell you, that's probably going back to the teacher side of me. I want my lesson plan. So I can tell you every day, every 30 minutes, what is on my schedule. So that just helps us to keep organized and very intentional of where we're spending our time. Because a lot of people always say, oh, I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I'm so busy. But when you really look at your day, there's probably time in there that you're wasting that you won't even remember, well, where'd that hour go? So just being very intentional of where we're spending our time and making sure it's like valuable time that we're spending things on.
I love that.
That is very powerful. And I love that you brought that from your teacher experience. And I'm wondering, are there any other, obstacles for growth you had that your outside experience, your fresh perspective really shed light on a solution for?
Just sometimes just kill them with kindness, sometimes trying to build relationships with people. They have walls up or, they're too busy for you, but just kind of, sometimes I taught middle school. So sometimes they're a tough crowd as well.
Yeah.
So just, breaking them down, but just always being like the better person and, not giving up after, one time and, continuing just to be the positive person, because they'll eventually come around. And if they continue to see your consistency of being that good, positive person, it rubs off on them.
Wow.
Yeah. The time freedom is really important to us right now. So many times, whether it's a book I'm listening to or just hearing a talk from someone that's done it and done things well, and, they're older. And the thing they always talk about is just don't miss the little things in life, that they seem like there's always a sports event or a game for the children or whatever, like don't miss those. And that's what we've done pretty much from the beginning. Like we don't want to miss that stuff. We want to take it all in, because our children right now, we have an 8-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter, and it's flying. Time's flying, and it's so much fun. And we just don't want to miss that. I just don't ever want to look back and regret missing so many of those things that are so important to us.
So what does your leadership team look like that allows you, because you said that it's all about finding the who are the leaders? I know they may have came to you, but who are the leaders and what kind of direction do you guys give them to say, all right, take this company and grow it?
I think our biggest role right now for our key leaders is being their biggest cheerleader. Let them have the space to do what they're good at. Like, we trust them. And we're also, we have one person in a high leadership position. She hasn't been with us not even a year, but she advanced so quickly when she got on board. We don't believe either that you have to wait 5 years to, earn it up a totem pole or something like that. It's like, if the person is talented, we put them in place and let them do their thing. So just being a cheerleader, letting them know that they're doing a great job, letting them make mistakes. There's times where we could step in and do something, or maybe, we've done it before and we can say, let them just do it. Maybe they'll find a different path that's even better. And we're finding, like Kristen said earlier, that they usually are. They're doing things much better than we could do, much more efficient. And that's their world. They're in that day to day, and we just let them have that space and do what they're good at.
So
are you setting? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have it divided out by services, operations, growth, and then we have a VP over all of those as well. So that's really been helpful to have the leaders in place for each of those divisions and then leading their team.
Oh, awesome.
That probably helps you feel comfortable with letting go with control. And that was my next question, is at the beginning, how hard was it to let go of the control and step back?
Yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah. Very hard for me. I mean, it was something totally new to me. Like, I'd always had my hands in a lot of stuff. And to be honest, I was in that whirlwind. I mean, we're trying to find a way to get out of the whirlwind. And until these awesome team members, got on our radar and got on this team, like, that couldn't really happen. And so now getting out of the whirlwind can happen, and big picture stuff can start to materialize. And that's what's been so cool about it.
And just knowing progress over perfection,
Mm-hmm.
like, you can't have it perfect. Like, that's going to kill your business. If you're trying to have every little thing perfect, you will not grow, because you cannot move forward if you're spending so much time in those little details. So just realizing that was a big help.
Yeah, that's been powerful to me. Progress over perfection. For me, that has been tough. So again, going back to the producing stuff, I mean, I really wanted those videos to be tight and perfect. And it's like, you just got to get stuff done. You just, we've expanded recently to other markets, and it's like, yes, we could have waited another year or 2 or 3, but it's like, it's never going to be perfect. Like if we're going to do it and it makes sense now, just do it. Like that's where that's kind of the position we're in now. Same thing with Jacksonville Real Producers. Yes, it's taking on another big thing, but it's like, there's never going to be a perfect time to do it. So why not just do it?
And when opportunity comes, like, take it, like, because it can lead to so many great things, but you got to kind of step out of your comfort zone sometimes and do those things, because amazing things can happen when you do.
I'm glad you said that, Chris, about not being perfect. And Brian, you touched on it too. Being at IEB and seeing the size of companies that there were, sitting next to a lunch table with you guys and just hearing about your business, I always thought, that we always had to stay in the 60 to 70 mile radius around DC. And then I learned from you guys and other companies, that's not what you should be doing if you want to grow a big business. And it was like the mental barrier. And like you said, Brian, just do it. And so literally we came back from IEB and I'm like, I'm going down to Charlottesville, and in a year or 2, we're going to do the whole state of Virginia. It's not there's no secret sauce. You just got to do it. If you have to drive 2 hours, 3 hours, do it.
Exactly. And you mentioned IEB and those other companies. And if I could just take a second, if they're listening, thank them for the years. We've been in there a couple of years, and it's just, we have taken so much from IEB and the coaches there. And of course the companies there that are just so kind to open everything up and say, here's how we do it. And we don't get to say thank you enough. And, now we're, a lot of times during, in 2020, certainly we're on Zoom, and there's a lot of times you just take that information and run with it. You don't really say, hey, by the way, this worked really well. Thank you. So if they're listening, we are very grateful. So many things that have gone the right way. We can point straight back to IEB and that entire cast there at IEB.
Yeah, when I was a teacher, my grad school professor said, beg, steal, and borrow. Somebody has already done it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Learn from the people that are already doing it. And that's what IEB is all about. And that's the biggest thing, is use other people and the resources they'll share with you to help you grow. If you spend time trying to come up with it all by yourself, you're never going to grow. So it's so nice to have a community that is willing to share to help others grow.
I love that. And for those listening, that's Inspection Empire Builder. We were at their conference a couple weeks ago, and I used to think like $1 million was like a big company, and even like 2 million. And now you go to IEB and it's like 5 million is like the norm, and I'm just like, what? So they do an incredible job. They have an incredible group of people. Brian and Kristen are a part of it, and they are amazing. It's just a great community. So yeah, thanks for giving that shout out to them, because it's well deserved. They're doing great things for our industry.
Yeah, they're just raising the bar for the conversation, and that's what's so cool about it. And, that whole abundance mentality we've really taken and ran with. And like, even down here, I mean, this week I'm going to meet with 2 or 3 of our biggest competitors here in the Jacksonville area. We're going to meet out on one of the guys' boat, and we're going to have, conversations. We've done this before, actually. We're going to do it again this week. It went so well the last time. And we're just sharing ideas, like, what's working for you? What's working for you? Let's come together on this. Let's reshape the market in this way. And it just helps everybody win. And that's what's so cool. And that's the mentality shift that we've picked up on from IEB.
I love it. I love it.
Helps the whole industry.
Yep.
What's next for you guys? You just started Nova Real Producers, or not Nova, it's Nova where I live, Real Producers, Jacksonville. Yep. So what are you guys looking to do? What's your next 2 to 3 year plan of where you want to take the companies or your companies?
Yeah. So we've got I'll touch on the pest control company. We've got a fantastic gentleman running that as VP, and he's just so awesome. And he was a part of our team in the past as well. And when he saw the breakneck speed and pace we were on with the growth, and I just went to him when he began with us, and I said, look, we can take this any way you want. We can go back to that fast-paced growth, or we can make it more sustainable and take it a little slower and focus on the bottom line a little more, and be able, do it a little calmer than we did it when we were going so crazy with it in the past. And he took that, and I said, it's your decision, you run with it. And he ultimately said, yeah, let's take that smart growth approach down here with Kingfish Pest Control. And so he's been doing that. On the Lunds Pro inspection side down here in Florida, we're in Jacksonville, we're expanding to Tampa next month. The young lady, I should say, who's the VP on that company, same thing. We just put the reins in her hand. And, I think the idea with the Lunds Pro team is let's grow it a little quicker because we're just riding this market, and obviously we're outperforming the market, but we want to keep doing that. And then when things, do turn back to either normal or worse, we're there. We're actually picking up market share. That's what we were very fortunate in 2008 when everything kind of the bottom fell out, that we actually grew during that stretch. And it's just, we were out front, we were there, we were showing up and doing things, the right way. And people realized that. And then when things did pick back up, we were right there, still standing there. We didn't have to fade away like so many did. So growing there. And then and Kristen, if you want to touch on the Real Producers, it's just, we're about to go to print. So you can tell them about that if you want.
Yeah. So we should have our first issue out this summer, July, August. So we're super excited about that. And then just building relationships more with the agents and the vendor partners that we have, and just make sure that continues to be a successful thing for us, but for them. It's that relationships we want to help those vendors build with the agent. So just making sure that is being successful for them. So continue to build relationships and network. So it should be a good few years.
And you asked earlier, things just kind of that we're doing. One thing I wanted to just pull the curtain back on, and just self-reflection for me, is we've always, in the past, and Kristen made me think of this talking about relationships. We've always done well over the years. I'd say my brother and I, when we had the larger company before selling it to ServiceMaster Terminix, done well. We've always been really good to our team. But one thing that I have tasked myself with, and Kristen has been a big influencer on this, starting in January of 2020, is not only be nice to the team and, be a good person to the people that are kind enough to go out there and just work so hard every day with our teams, but just take another step, take a deeper step. And I know, and this ties right into IAB too, and you'll hear them talk about this too. It's just getting to know our team even more at a deeper level. Yeah. And that's something that I've really been working on. So a no agenda phone call on a random Wednesday, or a pop-up gathering with people for lunch, whatever it is, and ask deeper questions. How's your family doing? How are your children? How's this going? Which vacation are you looking to do next? How can we help you? How can we be there for you in any way possible? And so that's what I'm really, really excited about. And then I'll try to build what I'm reading and listening to around some of that too. So I'll try to find a lot of that kind of stuff that I can really just bring that in and just keep learning from, whether it's very, very good books out there or places like IAB.
I love it.
We need to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsor. But when we get back, I have to ask you about those books.
The home inspection industry is highly competitive, and you need an edge to stay on top. You certainly can't afford to give profit away for no reason. But what if I told you credit card processors may be overcharging you and robbing you of profits you've worked hard to earn? It's time to put an end to being overcharged for payment processing. It's time to take back your profits. That's why we put together a free report, How to Avoid Being Overcharged by Your Payment Processor. Head over to takebackyourprofits.com, download the report, and put an end to being overcharged for credit card processing. You've worked hard for your sales, and you deserve to keep it. What are you waiting for? Go to takebackyourprofits.com and download your report today.
All right, we're back with the Lunsfords. Again, thank you guys very much for joining us. But before we head out, there's a couple more things we want to cover. Brian is an avid reader, and we wanted to have him bring some books to light that if you're a home inspector looking to grow your business, you have to read. Brian, what are some of those?
Yeah, and thanks, Jake and Joey, for having us. This has been fantastic. Kristen and I are really enjoying ourselves. Well, first of all, I just want to say, I haven't always been a reader. In the Virgin Islands, we would read, but I wouldn't read, business books. This is, just whatever it was. And so it's really, for me, it's when I really got into the audiobooks. For me, I just felt you can drive and listen to them. You can do other things while you're listening to them, and you can really take a lot from them. So for me, that's been really, really big. But I'm on my 17th book so far this year. So my goal, is to, it's not, I don't have to hit a certain number, but I do want to make sure that enough good stuff's coming in pretty regularly. So I just find myself not necessarily turning on the sports as much, and I'll go to the business books most of the time. But yeah, if particularly, there's so many good ones here. One of the ones that you probably heard people mention is the Who Not How. that's a big one, because again, that helps the mindset of finding the right people that you need to run particular areas of your business. And when you do that, I mean, it's just like anything else. It's like when you get somebody that's good at something and you put them in that position, then you can take what you're good at and go do that. And that goes to, I mean, whatever it is, whether it's Instacart to save you an hour from going to the grocery store, or outsourcing something else. Because, you know, if you look at the time and if you even look at the financial side of it, I mean, okay, Instacart, you're going to pay a little extra, but is your time worth that hour spending behind the computer or whatever your craft is? You're probably going to do better on what you're good at. And so just things like, it kind of just gets you to think in that mindset. We've read 40X, you know, it's a couple times now for me, and we've implemented a lot of their strategies in there. There's just a lot of things that you can get out of that book as well. One of the ones I'm listening to, it may, you know, take it for what it's worth, but it's Ego is the Enemy. I really, you know, no matter how big certain, you know, companies get, and I certainly would look at us the same way. It's like, never be, you know, too big for your britches. Like, there's always stuff to learn. And that's something that I'll always, you know, it's not just because of that book, but I love hearing that. And I loved listening to that book, but it's just always learn. Like, you always want to get better. Like, you notice, like Bill Belichick, if an awesome new coordinator comes in and says, hey man, here's check this play out here, I think we can do this. You know, Bill Belichick, the stuff I've watched on him at least and read on him is like, he's going to say, yeah, bring it on. Like, I want to learn. And he's done it all, and he's won everything. It's like, just always try to keep learning. And that's what I always take with me. We did Kristen leads. Do you want me to? Yeah, well, I was going to say, she leads a book study for us. So you guys.
We do a different book study every quarter with our leadership team. So we have them. And then it also, because you share so much, so it's helping us to get to know each other better too. One book we did with our leadership team was High Performance Habits. A lot of stuff, it's just continue doing it consistently. That is the key, is you can't just do things one time and expect it to change. So the High Performance Habit is just getting in that routine, doing things consistently. I thought that was a really great book and an easy read. I'm more of like a chick lit kind of book, you know, like, I love it. Like, oh, read business books. I was like, wait, what? But you know, like the ones that we've done with our leadership team have been kind of more stories imposed into it with the message. So that's been good. And then also Start with Why. That was a great book. So as I mentioned, you know, like home inspections, I was like, I don't even know what a 4-pointer wind mid is. Like, you know, my passion is not home inspections, but understanding what is my why in this business. And that gives me purpose. I see this as an opportunity for me to do things for other people. And so that if you have your why and your purpose, that can drive you so much further to success.
And these books help us be the leaders we want to be. I've never performed a home inspection. Kristen's never performed a home inspection. And we have a lot of home inspectors on our team. So it's like, we have to have, you know, we got to bring something to the table for these guys and gals. And so for us, like, just hearing from these fantastic authors and learning so much from them. And Kristen mentioned one of the Simon Sinek books. Anything Simon Sinek writes is really, really good. I would definitely recommend any of his books. And like I said, there's so many more. And we share those with, you know, other owners in the IAB group as well. But it's just for us, just really for me personally, really getting into reading a lot more than I ever have in my entire life. The last few years has been awesome.
Well, you know, what's funny, I think we've kind of discovered your secret sauce, right? It's finding the right people for the job, right? Finding the right leaders, and then empowering them to go do it by preaching personal growth and having a book club where you're developing these leaders to really take the reins and grow. You know, I think, you know, for many of us, it's like, okay, I got the right person. Now let them go do it. And that's not that. You still have to develop. They have to have a personal growth plan, you know, because your business is only going to grow to the level that your leaders grow.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are doing it. I mean, you're developing them, and you have actionable plan to develop them. Not necessarily the business, to develop the leaders that are going to then grow your business to the level that they grow.
Yeah, well said. You know, what's so cool is like when the meetings, a lot of times it's Zoom, but we'll try to at least once, sometimes twice a month, do in person. And it's like they don't hesitate. Our leaders don't hesitate to tell us, particularly me, that, hey, I disagree. And we love that. I've learned just to kind of zip my mouth and say, all right, let them just kind of roll. But I think that's great. We don't want everybody sitting there and anything that we say, okay, yes, yes, yes. We want them to disagree, a healthy disagreement. And it's just fantastic. And I love, I mean, we laugh. I'm like, yeah, that's actually a better idea. Yeah, good point. So we're very thankful that they're not afraid to speak up, and then we'll take the route that they say. And it's just fantastic.
We have a few more ladies on our team now, so they're vocal.
We got emails on the team, and I'm just like, I'm just going to hush, because I'll say, well, we could knock this out and this out. They're like, yeah, we've already done that during this meeting. Like, I'm like, all right, efficiency thing. You guys are good. So very blessed.
What is it? Kevin O'Leary, what does he say? That I'd rather have a mom running my companies because they know how to multitask and they can just do so many things at once, where guys, I'm like so scatterbrained. If I don't write something down, it never gets done.
We have a couple amazing moms on our leadership team, so they're able to multitask and getting a lot done for us.
So that's a secret too. Well, guys, this has been truly amazing. You guys, a husband and wife team that is absolutely killing it, doing everything right. And, I love the fact that you guys both have never done a home inspection, and you have a large home inspection business, and you're just rocking it. And you have multiple businesses that you're rocking. I love it. I think this is going to be so encouraging for our listeners. I go back and re-listen to this, guys. There's so many nuggets in here that you can learn from. So, guys, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We really appreciate having you on. Thank you again to IEB that connected us with the Lunsfords and with a lot of other guests that we have coming on soon. As I said in the last episode, we have a great list of guests coming up, and we are very excited to share them with you. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Anything you guys want to say to sign off?
Just have fun with it too. I think that's the key. If you're working with your spouse, have fun and enjoy it.
Don't get frustrated. Be kind. And like Kristen said, have fun.
All right. Have fun, guys.
Awesome.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Inspection Pro Joe podcast. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the bell so you won't miss our next episode. This episode was produced by Jake Aronson. This has been a Pair Payments production.